she's originally from Lawton, Oklahoma, but her two sisters live in Dallas. I tried to talk her into coming up here. I'll give you her name.
I just tried to live stream it, video on it.
She went to, her dad's a pediatrician and she went to OU and then OU Dental. And as a dyed-in-the-wool OU supporter, you're kidding. Yeah.
Got it going. All you had to do is look at
Yeah.
it. It's so good.
Like when I was in college and Terry Davidson always wanted to be a dentist, you know, and every morning my sophomore year, I woke up to Sweet Home Alabama at 6:30 in the morning because he put it on the record player.
Linda,
So I had to wake up at
Uh,
6:30. So I finally got smart
who
in
went
class
to
at
open your
7:30
daughter
when he
and
was.
son-in-law,
And
your son and daughter-in-law?
then the
Did they
following
just get
year, he
tickets
played
like that?
Freebird.
We checked into tickets.
And then I went
Back
to
in
his
the
son
believe
to have
this.
a couple of extractions. Yeah, or the guy with it. There's a,
The Ganyan?
I think it was. I was surprised at how fast it was. Like, I think 30 minutes later, I walked down there and I went, what else? So I think I was over 60 at the time. Oh, that's kind of fast.
They
And
did
then
what?
my new dentist is Dr. Friesen. And his dental hygienist is my nephew's real good friend from Ellery. Melissa Metzinger, Melissa Slaughter.
I was reading
He is
off
with
the restaurant
Tiffin
prices there
Dental
on that
in
course.
South
A
Carolina.
pimiento sandwich is still $1.25. I mean, they haven't changed since.
And the only reason I
Inception.
got started with
Have you been
her
there?
No,
is
I put my name in, I put my name in the lottery for tickets 6 years in a row.
mad at me for sticking them out the
Haven't been picked yet,
file
so
in there.
I'll keep trying.
Yeah,
But it worked.
But yeah, they're famous for that. The concessions prices are the most reasonable anywhere.
Yes. I always told Dr.
We went
Burke,
down to the PGA
I
in
hope your
Tulsa
art,
2 years
I
ago.
hope your artist skill, because someplace along the line, you guys, when you're designing
$20
compete
for
with
the
and I think
barbecue
how much
sandwich was like
mercury I had in
15.
my
I mean, it was
mouth with
outrageous. It was like
cavities,
more expensive than what you
Design
pay in Arrowhead.
Oh, yeah.
It's outrageously.
Excuse me. I'd like to call the Butler Community College Board of Trustees regular board meeting open. And if you will join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to approval of the agenda. I do need to leave at 6:15 this evening, so I would like to ask that we move the executive session up as a 5 lowercase a. And if possible, if you're in agreement, I'd like to move the budget guidance up under V lowercase b.
I would.
So
move
following
we-
public comment, sorry.
Yeah, just following public comment.
We move executive session 12 and budget guidance 9E to 5A and B.
Thank you.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Trustee Good,
yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick.
Yeah.
Trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, next we have
I had
recognitions.
one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'd like to move consent agenda E just to board action items. I just had a couple of questions to ask on the collection services EA.
Okay,
So it would be
It'd be the board action item 9. Would it be
F.
E now
F.
that he moved?
Oh, yeah, 9E.
And I know when we get to personnel, lots of times when we do retirements, we'll put personnel under as a board action item. Heather has some comments prepared for D Maid's resignation retirement. So if we could
I would
move
also
that out
move
away
the
from, yeah,
Personnel FA, board action item 9.
thanks, whatever. Thank you.
Second,
Trustee Good,
yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Second. Oh,
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yeah.
trustee Shear,
yes,
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay,
that was quick.
number 4, recognitions.
First thing we want to do for recognitions is to step out onto the balcony of the foyer. Acapella is gonna sing for you. We can't live stream it because of licensing concerns and constraints and stuff. And so they have one song that they want to sing for you. They competed in the varsity vocals international championship of collegiate acapella. It's the first time our folks have ever been. There were 600 colleges that applied to compete, and only 100 were selected, and Butler was one of them, under the direction of Matt Udland. And so we want to, I think, you know, they didn't place, but a tremendous experience for them, and they're excited about it, and I bet they'll do it again. But we thought it would be fun for them to sing a song for you. So let's walk out to anybody can come that want to. We just can't live stream it. So.
Good.
Yeah. There's only been 6.
Birthday this year. Trustee Dolly.
That's, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you are good. You South Carolina.
Good.
Listening to those.
That was fun. I got a couple more to do too, so.
Okay. Additional recognitions, please.
We'll get our, the rest of our folks here.
Figure out the best way to position my feet.
Thanks, everybody, for stepping away. That was fun. A couple more recognitions to share with you. We had 4 students that received Student Production Awards from the Kansas Association of Broadcasters. They're listed in your book there, but and I'm not sure if any of them are here. Let's see. Oh, Caden. Caden is, yeah. Well, we'll save Caden best for last, right? Daniel Fee got 2nd place, visual 60-second commercial PSA. Everett Salmon's got honorable mention for audio on-air personality. Sam White got 2 second place awards for audio station promotional announcement and visual best feature. And Caden, who we get to see every single month, Caden Warner, 1st place visual best sportscast, 2nd place audio podcast, honorable mention for audio sports color commentator or reporter. So congratulations. And Caden, I've got a certificate for you and we'll get the rest to everybody else. Okay. That'd be all right. Is this Caden? No.
Tell us no.
No. Where are you gonna be in May?
I graduate and we're being after graduation.
We could change our board meetings.
We can fix that graduation.
Yeah, we could. I think I signed your diploma. So, yeah. And then we also want to recognize the 73rd Annual Future Business Leaders of America State Conference was in February, and we had a number of students compete there and do a great job. Some of them are here today. They've qualified to compete at the national competition in Orlando this June. So raise your hands and I'll read these off again. I'm going to sit here so I can sit in front of the microphone. Matt Schultz, 3rd place in business ethics. Sarah Lee Marla Casimir.
Can they stand up, please?
Oh, okay.
I can't see them.
There
you go.
Okay. 2nd place in finance case study. 3rd place entrepreneurship pitch competition. Victoria Worm. 1st place accounting case study. 1st place in foundations of economics. 2nd place in foundations of marketing. 3rd place in future business executive. Lindsay Conley was 1st place in foundations of management. 1st place state of chapter presentation. 2nd place marketing, sales and communications case study. 3rd place foundations of selling. Caleb Waller, 1st place in foundations of accounting and 2nd place in foundations of economics. Brandon Dixon, 2nd place in foundations of selling and 4th place in foundations of economics. And Caleb Harp, 1st place future business educator, 1st place management case competition, 3 second places in business ethics, foundations of hospitality management, and retail management. And you folks have seen these students multiple times.
We sure
Very
have.
successful. We're really proud of you. And then we also have back in the back row, the great advisors for these students, Janice Cow and Dr. Noreen Templin.
You guys are amazing. Just amazing.
Couple more. Oh, and I was just going to recognize you for your birthday, but you've already been recognized. So
Yes, that's
One more time.
not that it's unimportant or anything like that. But then the last thing that I want to do also is Forrest has, I guess in January we didn't do this, but February and March he zoomed in both of those meetings. And so I have a little gift for you from us for your time and your term as board chair.
Oh,
thank
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Forrest.
What did I do? What did I do?
Thank you, though. Appreciate that. That's what I have.
One of the things I had noticed about the FBLA is that in some of those categories, they took like 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
I know.
It's
Cleaned
amazing.
house.
They
Yeah.
cleaned house. Okay, next we have the public comment section and uh, so Jacob Smith is going to join us via Zoom, but I have some comments to make to begin with. Our policy for public comment. The general public is welcome to address the Board of Trustees under the public comments section of the regular board meeting agenda. Public comments should be germane to the business and activities of the Board of Trustees. The public is also welcome to address the Board of Trustees during the public comment portion of any special meeting agenda, but the public comment at the special meeting should be related to an agenda item of that special meeting. Personnel issues are prohibited from public comment. The board chairperson will ask visitors wishing to make brief comments to identify themselves and the topic they are wishing to address. If several members of one group or organization wish to speak to the board concerning the same item, the board chairperson may ask the group to identify a single spokesperson. A time limit of 5 minutes has been set for each recognized member or spokesperson of the audience to speak to the board. The board will take no action during the public comment period of the board meetings. However, it will take the matter under deliberation and, if appropriate, direct the president to follow up with a written response and report at the next regular board meeting. So Jacob, if you'll introduce yourself and tell us why you're here.
Maybe you'll need to unmute. Here's Jacob.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I was having some difficulty with my computer.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, good afternoon. My name is Jacob Smith. I live in Augusta, Kansas. I actually had the opportunity to be a student at Butler County, but that was a few decades ago. But I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all briefly this evening. It's been quite a while since I've had to give any comments or speeches to anyone in public, so please bear with me. Congrats to the students that were recognized tonight at the beginning of the meeting. It was good to see you. I'd like to start by thanking the trustees and the board members and the staff for your service to the college and community. I understand you guys have a full agenda this evening. Just like to provide a few comments concerning the planning for 2024 budgets and potential tax considerations for us county residents. I know we're all subject to the current problems we have regarding inflation and the fact that our dollar does not seem to have the same purchasing power as it used to. I personally, just finished up 25 years of service in the U.S. Army. As an Army retiree, I know the importance of trying to stretch my dollar as far as possible. And I just recently moved back to Kansas after retiring from active duty, and I'm still adjusting to our Kansas taxes. So I would ask that as part of your planning efforts for 2024 and beyond, that you take a look at programs or organizational structures for efficiencies before looking at raising taxes on the community that we all live in. I know as we face challenges for inflation and rising costs and reduce income or enrollment, it's definitely necessary to look at our budgets and our expenses to see where we can potentially trim to maintain our financial sustainability. I'd ask that you look for potential cost savings that you can realize in your existing programs or in future planned programs before looking to raise taxes. In closing, just thank you guys for the opportunity to speak to you. Please take a look internally to see where you can maximize your efficiency or potentially reduce some measures or programs if necessary. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening and for your willingness to volunteer and do the hard work in supporting our community. Thank you.
Jacob, we'd like to thank you for your service and we're glad that you came to visit with us this evening.
Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, anyone else have public comments? If there are none, we'll move on to the executive session. Find the motion on 133.
Madam Chair, I move the board recess into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel pursuant to the open meetings exception for said matters, and that the board, Jennifer Hartman Weiss and Shelley Stultz be included. Meeting will resume in the Dankert Trustee Boardroom within 20 minutes.
And I'll second.
Yes. Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Shelley's on.
Shelley's on Zoom.
Yeah, Shelley's on.
Hi, Shelley.
Oh, you're doing it from your laptop. That's devious.
It's on my list.
Linda would like to be cooler. I would like to be warm.
I'd like to be cooler over
It's on
here.
it's on my present.
Okay.
I'm not freezing, so that means it's warm on.
I know.
Sometimes.
And Linda, we don't need to have an EFABC because we're gonna be discussing some committee meetings on the, after your presidential.
Oh. I see. what you're saying.
Okay, so now we're gonna move to the budget guidance with our amended agenda, which was 5 lowercase b,
What page is that on again, Linda?
53.
I think it's.
And I don't know that
There's nothing with.
it says much on that, just that we're gonna have a discussion. So, Shelby, I will ask you to start this, if you will.
Sure, a lot of people are tired of hearing it, but I say it every time about this year. Mostly ran to cut taxes or keep them low. I think a lot of that's trying to make this place run maybe a little more efficiently. I just think you guys gave us a heads up last month with projected 22% tax increase. I personally would like to keep the taxes 0% increase. I think since we're now in April and things haven't been finalized for fall, I would just like the board to say their will as a whole, what we approve of or what we're willing to do now. That way we would give the administration time to do anything they need to do throughout the summer. I'm just trying to give everybody plenty of time and not have any shenanigans, me doing motions and weird stuff in August and cause.
Oh, that'll happen.
It will happen, but at least now it's like, hey, if we as a board say we're not gonna give you 3 million, you're gonna get 100,000 or 0, then stuff could be adjusted now. I just think that's fair, and I think that's our job as a board to make that decision. So that's why I asked for this to be done now. And that's my position. I don't want any tax increase, but that's where I'm. And this doesn't necessarily have to be an action item, but maybe it does, but just so the board can say, this is what we're willing to approve right now. And then give the administration time to reconfigure, or maybe the board doesn't, or they're happy to do this as a whole, and then it doesn't matter, but at least wanted to see how we all felt now and get it out in the open. I think that's all I had to say.
I think from the finance committee meeting today, we recognize that they've just gotten some numbers in that they need to work into what they had from before. And I think at the work session isn't, Kent, the next work session is when you're going to bring us a new and improved budget of some form with explanations.
Administration will bring a preliminary budget recommendation for FY 25 to the work session.
If you feel comfortable, thought maybe we would go around and just give a brief kind of, so they have an idea. What are you feeling like you can or cannot support? If you're definite about that.
Give me a
You want to
start.
start?
Sure. I believe cost of goods have gone up, even in our own households. And with the college, I think we need to figure all those extra costs in. I am concerned this year about trying to help our hourly employees. I would like to see them get a good raise, a cost of living raise. I think Shelley's done a great job. I just want to see those hourly employees come up in the world with more increase. So do we have an idea of what the revenue neutral rate will be, Kent? Have they said anything? The county?
The revenue neutral rate will be based on the valuation increase. I did get an estimate from the county as far as local property. We use 5% overall in the estimate that I showed you at the work session. The number I get from the county is 7% probable increase for local property. There's other factors that make up the total valuation, including utilities, state assessed, so forth. So we'll have a good idea of what revenue neutral rate is.
Thank you.
I could give you an estimate at the work session.
So with that being said, I'm not in favor of increasing the mill as much as I am in favor of taking the evaluation.
If I could ask a follow-up. If we're currently at 12,581,670 and we go up 7%, that's about 880,000. Would that number work approximately if we're just thinking ballpark now?
I'm not sure. I'm not gonna do that math in my head right now.
I mean, I'm just saying if what we tax currently and the valuations go up 7%, we keep the mill the same, it should increase that number to just 7%, right? Which would be a little under 900 grand if we keep it, the mill the same. The taxes would go up about that.
Kim, do you have comments?
Typically, my blanket comment on taxes is just similar to Shelby's, which is I just have a hard time supporting any increase so long as there's no. I understand what Mary's saying as far as things being more expensive and we do need to account for that. I'm not trying to say that that doesn't exist. But I think there needs to be some kind of initiative shown by administration in the college to try to do what other schools in the region and state are doing, which is to, really look at right sizing some things and maybe, being more streamlined, like the guy that we talked earlier today suggested. So, definitely would not be in favor of increasing the mills at all. Might be convinced to just leave the mills the same and take the appreciation, but that would take some convincing for me.
Or Steve? Thoughts?
I think it's unrealistic to think that we can be revenue neutral for what would be a third year in a row with inflation, what we've seen for that time frame. Candidly, I was also surprised at the volume of the increase that was proposed. I didn't expect it to be quite that much. And that's not a knock on what our expenses are. I just wasn't appreciating that was what we felt like the volume was. So I would hope that we can find something that's in between the two, that's less than what was proposed, but I don't think revenue neutral is realistic.
Okay, I'll go ahead and comment. I'm right here in line. But you've heard me talk a lot about sustainability, and I fear if we would stay revenue neutral much longer, that we're going to see a time where I was also surprised by 2 mills. I wasn't expecting that. And as you've heard me say over and over, I believe in the potential assessed valuation increase, but I would like to see the mill levy stay the same if it can. Aaron, new on the block, it's always hard.
It is. I think Mary Martha made a good point, but I think we also have to consider the impact that inflation has on our neighbors. I know when I was canvassing neighborhoods during the election, taxes was the most common response I heard when I was able to engage with the people I represent. When we're talking about revenue neutral, Kent was kind enough to try to explain to me earlier all the ins and outs and nuances of that. And I don't really want to comment on that because I don't think I know enough about it yet. But it's really, really challenging for me to see us increase taxes at this time. I am slightly hopeful that the numbers that we're getting from the state and some of the other things that Shelby mentioned are going to make it a little bit easier for us to do them.
Mr. Dave.
I'm like Forrest. I don't think we could, we'll have to exceed revenue neutral just because there's so many variables. I am really worried that we went $1.5 million into our reserves. And I am scared of what insurance may do and what health insurance may do. I could really see a thing where we take the increased valuation, keep the mills the same, but take the increased valuation. I I understand there comes a period of time when cutting is not sustainable. And also, we also have to make it attractive to attract students. And I think that our administration will bring us back something and they'll look at all the numbers. I have faith in the administration and they'll look at all the numbers. They'll look at employment trends. They'll look at enrollment trends. They also have to look at the trends that the Kansas Board of Regents put on the universities and whether my biggest thing is that a student who graduates with an associate's degree from Butler Community College can go to a 4-year college and not have to take a lot of extra classes to go on. When I was young, I tried transferring from Emporia to Wichita State. Wichita State got a little hooty snooty and wouldn't accept 30 hours from Emporia State. Well, you know something? I got a better education at Emporia State when I finished out. So I would like to see us take the increased valuation. The state is coming, it sounds like the state is coming through with some money to help us with capital improvement and some of those designated funds. But I can tell you with my years in education that when you depend on the state, you're dependent on the wrong people. You know, I'm just telling you. I have been in the Wichita school system where we cut faculty 10% every year for 10 years, and we only were a staff of 14. So that's my position. Mary Martha.
Come on, come on.
And I would also like to address the merit part of that raises. I think it seems like traditionally we've been 2%, 2.5%. We had 0% in COVID, and we made it up to 5%. And for some reason last year we budgeted 5 and ended up at 6. And I, as a trustee, don't feel appreciated with the way we've been talked about for 6 to 9 months about that. I don't want to budget 4%. I think 1 or 2 traditionally, and if we argue from that, at least it would give us budgetary numbers to work with now. That's my position. And then I'm just trying to give the administration an idea of, the budget we might approve and then make it finagle some, like what we just said, I think was really good. Like, hey, we might approve I won't, but we as a board might approve $900,000 of this 2.7 million. So change that number. And then I'm also asking about the raise situation, how you all feel, if we that number, that gives them some direction for next month's numbers. But that's just my idea.
So shall we see what they come back with and we'll have that discussion then?
Well, I'd like to get direction from the board of like, don't budget over 900,000. Or don't budget over. It seems like there's a consensus.
I think there's a couple of things that we've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we've heard, not taking the valuation increase, but also leaving the mill levy the same and potentially taking the valuation increase. So we can put together information based on both of those, guidelines. We also are, the VPs are committing, all of our meeting next week to sort of finalize our recommendation, but we're digging deep into budgets and looking. So that's kind of what I've heard. Am I wrong in what I've heard? I can take that back to
I think it's
back to us, and we can bring you some information based on those thoughts that you've shared, if that's okay.
But I think that's what I just said.
Okay.
Budget for 900,000 tax increase or 0 would be lovely for me.
But yeah,
Yeah,
both
yeah.
of them. So
Because I'm going to holler about it till August, and then
You're gonna holler about it till you go to your grave.
till 3 years from now, and I can quit thinking about it.
If
But
we
you guys
were at
want
0,
to
you'd ask
raise
for a
this now
reduction.
too? I mean, I think it's good for us to get this out as a board, because we're hiring a new president. The board needs to bring in our new president at the direction of the board. They're going to be listening to us more than just us taking administration's recommendations all the time. We kind of need to have this system of the board is directing the president when they come in, and then we're kind of operating in that manner. I mean, we're gonna listen to administration of that, but we don't want to just hire a president and just do whatever we've done for the last however long. It doesn't, then why do we need a president though?
Let's not
Okay, well-
misconstrue agreeing with administration with just following whatever administration says. We're all free thinkers. We all make decisions. Just because sometimes there's a disagreement doesn't mean that somebody else is a puppeteer pulling our strings.
No, I didn't say that, but like last year we cut the taxes. But I'm just trying to bring this up. I know it's hard to talk about, but it gives us time, it gives administration time to work with their numbers.
Well, I think we've given them some direction of what we'd like to see at the next meeting. One of the things quickly, and I don't want to belabor this at all, but when I look at our strategic priorities, it says strengthen internal and external partnerships to develop new funding sources. And just yesterday, when Shelley and I had a chance to talk for a few minutes, I mean, we could get way down the rabbit hole with being inventive with industry and teaching and hands-on learning and things like that. So sometime let's go out there and see what kind of things we could do, because we do have programs, for instance, in our communities. I know Augusta and El Dorado both do, and I'm sure Andover, but you know, hands-on building experience using some of the programs that the cities have and their ability to finance and, you know, build homes that investors buy and things like that. So
And we have
programs.
people,
today,
and we
but-
have, you know, we have faculty and deans and
There's
administrators
programs
that
through
are
workforce
forming
development.
those and fostering those relationships and doing that very thing. So we can provide some additional
But
information.
anyway, just wanted to make that comment. So if
Okay.
you're okay to move on.
We've got some guidance.
I think Linda was just saying, well, there might be some other people in industry that might be willing to chip in
Sure,
to the college
But-
and work with us to.
we work on that all the
No,
time.
I know, she's
Yeah.
just saying, we as a board don't really
Oh,
get involved, and maybe there's people we know we could beat the bushes and make some
Yeah,
phone calls.
send them
and
our way.
Not just leave it up to you all, but we could also say, hey, anybody want to partner? Or there might be some other people out there that don't know they could do something.
Are you speaking like?
Me, no.
Smith, Smith. Drywall.
Drywall.
However, he might apprentice some people that put the sheetrock up and Jolly will
I've
come
had-
in for the
had 5
concrete.
kids go here that have also done sheetrock a little bit.
Okay, if you are okay, we'll move to standing reports
I
now.
think we have, Emily was here somewhere. Is she out there in the hallway?
She almost had
She
to sing.
fell asleep.
Yeah, she was sitting outside.
Yeah, she almost had to sing.
Good evening.
I'd like that as the state of America Association president.
Thank you. So I'm here to do our Student Government Association report. On March 21st, we had our casino night. We had a turnout of about 40 students come out. All the games were free and we had pizza and drinks. There was also a randomized ticket raffle where there was Visa gift cards handed out. Tomorrow, April 10th, SJ will be handing out the softball replica t-shirts at the game at 3:30 against Pratt. And the 18th, we will be handing out the replica baseball jerseys at the game against Seward County for baseball. April 24th, SJA will hold their last event for the school year, and it will be the spring block party. There will be yard games, snacks, and big prizes for students. We're also planning on partnering up with like Butler Radio and all that kind of stuff. You have to still figure that stuff out. Monday, May 6th, SJ has supported FBLA by ordering 25 Krispy Kremes boxes between the Butler of El Dorado and Butler Andover campuses for Butler FBLA's fundraising for their National Collegiate FBLA Conference in Florida in June. Is there any comments or questions?
When's your last day of school, Emily?
I think it's this May 13th, May 12th, I think. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm 11th. I am, yeah. I'm transferring out, yes.
So there's gonna be a new president?
Yes, we're in the process of looking for them right now. I'm taking a gap semester this coming fall to be with family, and then I'm going to look at Friends University or Kansas State University for social media marketing.
You come back.
Will do. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Emily. You've done great.
Okay, operational staff report.
Stacy Terry's here today to do that instead of
Oh,
Zach. Zach's
Okay.
out of town, right?
Yes, he is at a conference. All right, my name is Stacy Terry. I am the Vice President of Operational Staff. We had a couple of things happen over in March. We had our IDD silent auction that was on March 28th. We had a really great turnout. I believe we made just a little bit more than we did last year. Information Services won with the highest bid on their basket, so they get free lunch. I'm excited. We also had 7 staff members go to ACOP. It's the Association of Kansas Community College Operational Professionals. It sounds like they had a really great time and had some really informative sessions there, and they learned a lot. And that was in Seward this year. Our next event will be Recharge, and that will be this summer. Any questions, comments?
Stacy?
Yeah.
What do you do with the funds raised from the baskets that?
So we use them for the welcome back tables that we do in the fall and spring for students. We also use them for staff scholarships. And then also in the past, we have used them to help out needy families in the community.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Sater, professional employees report.
Thank you. Rhonda is passing out some documents, the first of which are the professional employee evaluations of the president consistent with the master agreement. Those were completed last month and have been collated and prepared for you, as well as the evaluation of administrators for Dr. Kroll. Along with those evaluations, I've also bundled in an invitation to tomorrow's fact-finding hearing. I sent out an email with that information as well, along with the link for live streaming, et cetera, et cetera. The final document I enclosed as requested was the latest professional employee newsletter. I attached to that a copy of an email that was sent out last week, I believe it was, denoting the board's position on some negotiations issues. I attached that because we were a bit baffled by the email. We don't believe that it's the board's official position, since no vote was taken on that. And so we were simply a bit baffled as to what that really represented. At any rate, I thought I'd include that, since the professional employees newsletter also mentions that. And that's all for my report tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board Finance Committee, Dave?
Well, not much has really changed. There is a couple of variances between last year and this year in the fiscal plant operations. And they've kind of attributed that to where we budgeted more for electrical and those kind of things than what we've been charged. So on the good side, we budgeted more to use more electricity or we thought the electrical rate would be higher, and for some reason it's lower. And so that kind of is the difference with the with the percentage and the $150,000 less. A part of the instructional support money, the reason why it kind of went up, it was because of health insurance. And every month they're monitoring the budgets and making adjustments. And that's all I have to say.
And that's all you have to say about that?
Yes.
Okay. Foundation Board report, Forrest.
Nothing to report. The foundation board will meet next month, but it'll be after our May meeting. So really the next update won't be until June.
Okay. President's report, Dr. Kroll.
First thing on my list, I've got Kevin Lantubner and Brett Eisenman here. Just had an email from Kevin, and the college has been redesignated as a National Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense through 2029.
Wow.
Yeah. Attributable to, oh, I'm sorry, we've got the whole gang here. So attributable to great faculty, great curriculum, but it also has to do with internally our IS operations and focus on cybersecurity and things like that too. So what are we now? Are we the second institution or third institution in Kansas that, I think K-State has that designation, and does Johnson County too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's K-State, WSU with
Okay. Yeah.
universities, but it's college, it's us.
Yeah. So thanks for your
Good
great work.
job.
Appreciate
Thank
knowing
you.
that. And we'll get. I'm gonna forward your email on to Kelly so they can do some press release stuff. Okay. I also want to recognize, and I think Heather's on Zoom. Heather has been named in the Wichita Business Journal 2024 class of 40 under 40 professionals. This is a recognition for professionals in our area who are, you know, making strides and impact in their career and also impact in their communities. So congratulations, Heather. We're proud of you for that accomplishment. Thank you. The PTK luncheon, of course, is Friday in Junction City. And I know a few folks are going along. There'll be a short trustee meeting afterwards, but there's no president's meeting ahead of that. So whoever's riding with me will leave here at 9:30. So, and then Phil and I had an email yesterday, was it yesterday?
Yes.
That the HLC interim report has been accepted. You are not, however, off the hook. But yeah, kudos and fast turnaround. We were both really surprised that it was so quick to be turned around. But you want to give them just a little bit of insight about what happens now, even though that's been accepted, Phil?
Yeah, this is very, very positive, and their quick response, I think, was in response to your report, was considered very well written and very, very acceptable. So the follow-up is there's no further interim reporting required until 4 years from now. So in 26, 27, the team that will review the college for mid-cycle evaluation will expect there will be extensive documentation for the board's progress and improvement.
In 2026.
Yeah, 26, 27. So it will probably, Mary Martha, it will probably be in the spring of 27.
Thank you.
So they will consider how you will have documented your work in terms of those concerns. And so we would expect, well, we can guarantee that it will be considered an area of concern in terms of what they will talk to you about. But it will be in 27.
Thanks for all your.
But
work,
it's
too.
very, very positive.
Thank you for all your work, Bill. Sure appreciate.
Thank you to the trustees for writing that and, taking the recommendations that were provided and, taking it seriously, because that's an important step. So Terry mentioned fact finding. I also had emailed you today with the link and the time and the location. So you're aware of that. And then before the work session on the 22nd, which is on Monday, whenever that is, 2 weeks, basically. We're going to do a tour of El Dorado campus. This physical campus will have some golf carts ready to go, but we'll take you around this campus and then probably right before the May board meeting early that afternoon, we'll get a van or whatever, and we'll hit fire science and hit ag. So we get those done. Good.
When is it again?
The 22nd, we'll start at 3 p.m. Here at the Welcome Center, and I'll have a couple of golf carts ready so we can move a little bit more quickly and hit all of this physical campus. And then we'll plan to be in Andover coming sometime soon, and we'll plan this summer a south tour so we can hit Rose Hill, McConnell, Service Center, and do that south loop. And then we'll figure out what to do about the north loop to go up into the Flint Hills. But
I'd like to encourage each trustee to make it. In the ones past, it's always been me or somebody else, but there's never been a full board to take this tour. And I think it would behoove all of us to see where and what we are doing on this beautiful campus.
that's what I have to report.
Okay.
The facilities we're going to talk about in board strategic discussion. So there's no need in talking about it right now.
Okay, we're ready for monitoring.
You can have mine.
Catching up to 5:48. Yeah, we're gonna be out early. Should jinx it.
Yeah, don't.
Well, good evening, everybody.
evening.
My name's Dr. Troy Nordman, the Dean of Humanities, Social and Behavioral Sciences, and my colleague, Dr. John Craig. We used to be called the Three Amigos when Susan was also part of our administrative team, but we're now just the dynamic and somewhat wounded duo. And the dynamic is sometimes questionable. So appreciating that you're leaving early. We'll just start with a pop quiz. So if you're acquainted with the game Jeopardy, this should be easy because you answer in the form of a question. Okay, so the first question is simply an embarrassing error on behalf of the dean in this report.
Being good.
Oh, I'm taking the fall on this one. Okay, time's up, contestants. I forgot to change our mission statement, but we know it. So question number 2. And by the way, I took this quiz last night. I got a C+. John got a B-, but I didn't study. I know you all have. Question number 2 is the number 189,767.
The amount
Quick
of
scan
book
those pages really.
Ah, yes. Linda's looking ahead at the back. Yeah, this is this is the average savings per term, and that's the average over the 14 terms since we've implemented OERs. Now that number is also only dependent on 5 OERs that we have currently operating, and we have about that many launching in the fall. So expect those numbers to be even greater and higher in terms of overall student savings. And lastly, the last question. This is the daily double.
Yay.
61 610, 1,830, 10,370.
Wow.
Wait a minute. 61,
610,
610,
1,830,
1,830.
10,370.
Okay, 61 number of years.
You're
Humanities has been there.
no longer than that, but that's okay.
I don't know. I was just guessing.
It might be a bit more impressive than that. We are sadly losing through retirement, three of our very, very talented, well, they're all talented, but some faculty that we're truly going to miss. Their years together of service equals 61. If you add up the number of sections that they've taught on our base scale, which is 15 hours, but many times I know a couple of these people have always taught overload. That's 610 sections they've taught in that time. Credit hours is 1,830 credit hours that they've contributed. And most important, our students, those three people have touched over 10,370 based on our average fill rate of 17 students. Now, I know a couple of those people typically have full sections, so we are going to miss them greatly. Anyway, thanks for playing along. No one wins the daily double or anything like that.
I did give it a college.
You did. It was a great try.
But how much,
But-
how much did you bet?
Yeah.
So we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Very good report.
Is your film done?
Well, both are, but one's in a little bit of there's a legal issue. Sod and stubble. If you kind of follow the internet on Facebook or anything, I can say that one's very likely to kind of be live sent. So that's exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting about that.
Now, did you do those with Ken Spurgeon?
Yes, Ken's a very good friend, and it's great to work with him.
Hey, Dr. Craig,
Uh-huh.
you did your dissertation on NIL policy. Can you give us a very brief impact on the college athlete?
Oh, boy.
Maybe an opinion. Maybe it would just be an
Opinion would be a better perspective there. I would say that it is changing the landscape of college athletics. And you're going to see a new model at those highest levels of the Power Five. John Calipari just left Kentucky, went to Arkansas, and I think he was promised $5 million in NIL for 13 scholarship players. I was doing the math with Troy. That's about $384,000 a player. It won't get distributed evenly, but it's a professional model. So how that gets adapted, and I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully something sustainable soon, because that bubble is going to burst at some point.
Do you see NIL making any significant move into community college athletics?
I haven't seen that.
There's some at
Yeah. I haven't seen that yet. I think more importantly, and this is just my opinion, more importantly, until you have funded a community college student athlete to cover their cost of attendance before you move into the NIL realm, that might be the first step. Yeah. Lots of news out there, lots of discussion points, lots of things to think about. But I think you'll hopefully see a sustainable model in the next year or two. It'll probably involve media rights and earmarking or reserving dollars through CBS, Turner, TBS, all those folks.
When we had gone to the last meetings, I think this is right at CC.
AACC.
Someone was talking about just the responsibility of the college in reference to people that have these contracts and what they were asking the college to provide. It's like daily pictures and quotes and all this. And I'm thinking, good Lord, we're gonna go away from education now. We're just gonna be promoters for them.
Well, that is a big question. How much of an educational model still exists when you're talking about those kinds of dollars? So
I've kind of heard a Big 12 and a Big 10 quarterbacks go for 1.5 million a year.
It's seven figures. Yeah. It's seven figures. And, people like Caitlin Clark, I mean, she, the highest WNBA salary is $250,000 a year. She was making seven figures at Iowa, so she takes a pay cut. If you think about it in those, if
Maybe.
you think about it in those terms, yeah.
Except I've seen quite a few commercials already. So
Yeah.
I think she's got.
She'll be an economic influence. She'll be an impact at the WNBA.
She was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Wish she would have stayed another year.
Me
She
too.
could have stayed another year.
I did not know
She chose
that,
not
actually.
to.
Yeah.
But there were other players that did go ahead and stay in the women's, because we got to watch them with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. Well, I know you got to get out of here,
Yeah,
so
there you
we
go.
could talk about this all day.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was interesting that you
Thank you.
we're delving
Thank
into
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Better
thanks.
questions next time, please. And I want to see the,
Easier Jeopardy.
I want to see the number.
Okay, presidential search discussion. We went over quite a bit of that. Are there any additional questions in regard to that or directives that you want to give? Okay, if not, turf and track replacement.
Yeah, EFABC meets tomorrow, to finalize, I'm assuming, finalize vendor for turf and track replacement. This has been, kind of on the books for more than a year now. And the three partners have helped, pull information together. We sent, I think I put in the overview or maybe even in this, to kind of streamline the process. We used Greenbush Consortium, which municipalities and taxing entities can use. We sometimes even the college uses it, but we went to Greenbush because they have a whole list of turf and track vendors that they already had vetted and had contracts with. They set base prices on an annual basis. And so we went to that list of vendors that Greenbush already had and sent quote letters out to all of them, requesting information for turf replacement and track replacement, and had mandatory walkthrough the week, I think it was the week before the quotes were due. Mammoth and Hellas and Mid-America AstroTurf or sports turf, AstroTurf were the three that came for the mandatory walkthrough and then supplied quotes. The total quotes overall range from all of them kind of right around $1 million for turf and track replacement both. They separated those quotes so we could see just what turf is and what track is. EFABC, I'm fairly certain is going to move towards replacement of both because both are at end of life. And it's time stadium's 12 years old, and the turf has actually lasted longer than typical because our folks don't practice on it every single day and the high school doesn't practice on it every single day. We have had since the time, so just so you're aware, the stadium, when the stadium was built, the $12 million, the foundation, the college raised $6 million of that for private funds. The city contributed $3 million and the school district contributed $3 million from their foundation or their educational fund. And so since that time, as pledges have final pledges came in, the foundation has always held for EFABC a designated fund, a donor fund. There's more than $700,000, about $707 plus in that account now. We have commitments for some significant donations from BG Products. We have a Pepsi contract that'll come in over a 10-year time frame. We have a 10-year contract with HF Sinclair for signage on the Jumbotron. We have a vending contract with Premier Foods. We also have some additional signage spots on the Jumbotron that we're talking to people with for contributions and for their signage on the Jumbotron. But we anticipate, even with that $707,000 that's in reserve right now, Some of those donations will come in over a period of time, but we anticipate still this year that we will, between now and fall, we probably will have $170,000 come in still this year. And then in the outlying years, it'll range anywhere from 127,000. The lowest is 95,000, and that's just based on the commitments that we have right now. The city was willing to, so that we don't deplete every dollar in that designated fund. I mean, we want to keep some in reserve in case there's an HVAC unit that goes out or, you know, something. So
Water leak.
yeah, water leak. So we'll have to finance part of that project. The city's willing to manage the financing of that project, and we'll know more about that tomorrow, about what amount needs to be financed. But they're working through their bond council. There'll be an agreement that we all have to sign, a resolution that we'll bring back to you guys to for approval. We anticipate right now that the donations that come in over each year over a period of time will be enough to cover that debt service each year. And the agreement will be set up so that the timing, hopefully the timing works the right way for those donations and when that debt service is due. But if there's a year where they're out of sync for some reason, or the donations don't meet that debt service for that year, then the three entities would split that difference of what's needed. So that's part of that agreement. But I think EFABC is pretty confident that with the donations and the cash that's already in reserve, that there's enough to cover the cost of the turf and track replacement. The city's talking right now about, on their own, potentially purchasing some foundation equipment or whatever, so that the stadium, so they can use the stadium for concerts and some things like that it hasn't been used for previously. So I'll know more and be able to give you more detailed information after the meeting tomorrow. And we'll try and put, you know, some numbers together for you and get that information emailed out to you. And then I'll have some information at the work session for you as well. The project timeline is set, hopefully, that all the approvals can be in place and that they can come in that week right after commencement. Commencement for us would be the last event in that stadium, and they would have everything done by the first week of August. Now, Mammoth has done a number of projects in the area. I think they did the ball fields maybe at Augusta.
And the football
Hellas,
stadium.
yeah, they all have good recommendations. Hellas and Mammoth and Mid-America all have area folks and projects that they've worked on. So we've had good recommendations and good feedback. The EFABC did have a number of questions following the receipt of the quotes. And so did Zoom meetings with every one of the vendors to have them kind of clarify some information, and then followed up with each of them with some additional questions that the vendors provided additional information. So they've done a good job of vetting the vendors, besides what, you know, Greenbush has already done. So I don't know, you know, what else to tell you. The skybox leases, those annual payments, those go towards the annual operation of the facility, elevator maintenance, you know, I don't know, any kinds of maintenance kinds of things that happen, licensing kinds of things. So the skybox lease information or funding goes towards operational kinds of things. And then the three entities also make an annual payment based on usage of the stadium, how many hours, you know, we use it for practice and games and things like that. So that goes into the annual operational part of the funds. This is separate because this is private donations and private dollars that are raised to support the upgrades of the turf track. So quick overview. I'll have more information tomorrow. I'm happy to try and answer some questions if you've got some questions about it.
What's what's our role in all this? Does the EFABC board make this decision and you're just keeping us in the loop on it, or are we actually having to approve something?
Well, you guys, every entity, every taxing entity, you've got two representatives on the EFABC, but will come back. Every entity will come back to their specific boards and ask for approval of the resolution and the financing agreement. Your support for that.
Which is basically the city, the college, the school district.
Yeah.
Even though you're not asking for, at least at this point, it's not expected you're asking for any entity to individually fund any of this.
No, it's just that if those donations don't coincide with the date of the debt service, and we have to, as an individual institution, split that difference,
To
then
front some of the money.
yeah, then that would be the case. Matt, let's see, let me look at his name. Mitch Walter is the one that with Gilmore and Bell that's working with as is the city's bond council and stuff. And so the agreement actually allows the authority, the latitude to transfer those dollars from the foundation account into an account to pay the debt service. So that's part of what that agreement does. It allows for that transfer of money. And then also identifies that if there's less money transferred than what is needed for the debt service, then the three entities would split that difference at that point in time till those donations came back in. So. And if any of the parties fails to live up to their responsibility, then they don't get to use the stadium. That's the other thing the agreement says. So.
And basically, we're kind of, from the city's point of view, they want to be able to use the stadium more.
Yeah.
And putting a stage on any turf violates the warranty. So that's where we've had a lot of discussion with all of these turf companies on needed things to do so that you could put a stage system out and then use your stands for audience.
Yeah. That's what I know right now.
Plus now with concussion protocols, and there's a whole bunch that really goes into turf, both turf management and turf selection.
Okay, C is board governance, quarterly core report.
It's in your board book. There were a couple of questions. I think Mary Martha had a question about the request for the teacher positions and pay. We get some of those requests now and then for market comparison and things like that. Kent thought that Kelly Strum it was an attorney's office, correct, that asked for that information.
We were just looking at hiring practices for faculty, so I shared with her our hiring schedule, and that's all.
Thank you. And then the other question about the graduating student information, that request was denied because that's not public information, their phone numbers and all that sort of stuff.
That was my question too.
Well, and this is just a snapshot. I mean, the spreadsheet that Meredith keeps is long and big, and so we just, give you a snapshot, but it was denied. Yeah. And I didn't know that yesterday.
The first one about liability, is there anything we need to be concerned about or know about? So the requesting current educator liability insurance policy. It was from February 11th. Okay.
So are these the ones that were made, the requests were made, or are these the ones that we did go ahead and send information to?
Everything that you see on this is a request that's been made.
Have we fulfilled it?
I can add another column that identifies the next time around whether it was supplied or denied.
I think that would be good.
We've had that.
Thank you.
time before, I think.
Okay. Okay. We'll
Okay.
expand that.
Going to take the break now and turn over to Dave, but follow-up that I have so far for April and beyond was getting the contract with Gold Hill with Ray Cannell changes sent to the trustees. The survey we got later this afternoon to trustees. We're expecting the budget update in April's work session. Work session tour El Dorado campus at 3. We'll do a little more work on the visioning with Susie Locke and get back to you.
And we may have something on the EFABC.
Yeah.
E EFABC.
We may have to,
I'll have something for you at the work session and probably have something I can email to you ahead of that even.
Okay. And then I just had that I'd email Gold Hill with our follow-up information and provide it to all of you. I'll just copy you in the email. So that's when they should expect our contract to come back to them.
Just to say, I appreciate how you do this at the end.
I do too.
All involved.
Really helpful.
yeah.
Dave's in charge of anything
Yeah.
beyond number 7.
Oh, man.
Linda, before you go, are we gonna make a public reading of that statement to satisfy any nonsense that this isn't our words?
I
think we should.
Okay, would you be willing
I'm happy to.
to do that? Is everyone else willing to see that?
Yes.
And to the mention about, it's not a board decision, so it's not something that has to be discussed in open meeting. There was some suggestion, I think, in Dr. Sater's comment that didn't,
He was baffled.
yeah, we reached consensus on the substance of this. So,
Thanks for letting me go.
okay, yep, thank you. So do
Yeah.
you want me to just go ahead and read it now?
You just stayed there, Dave.
Okay.
You want me to just go ahead and read it now, Linda? Okay, so this is this is the substance of an email that Dr. Kroll sent on the board's behalf on March 28th. At recent board meetings, Dr. Trey Sater and Rhonda Thomas have requested a response from the board related to due process. This email is being sent on behalf of the Board of Trustees, their response below. So this is the board's response. Since the Board of Trustees, through BCC's administration and the association, declared an impasse in our contract negotiations last fall, there have been numerous instances of inaccurate or misleading information being shared about the issues related to impasse. The board would like to take this opportunity to clearly articulate its position to ensure that no one is confused or misled. At no point in negotiations did the board or the college's administration ever ask for a change in contract language regarding due process. Statements by the association representatives that the board is seeking to take away due process are false. More recent statements about the quest for due process rights are misleading because those statements give the impression that Butler's faculty don't already have due process rights. They do. The contract between the board and the association expressly recognizes that community college professionals have due process rights pursuant to Kansas statutes. Those rights are set forth in the section starting at KSA 72-2252. Those rights have existed for nearly 50 years, and there's been no recent legislative activity to amend or repeal those statutory rights. But even if that were to occur in the future, Article 14 of the contract provides that if the Kansas legislature repeals statutory due process, then the college is required to continue to follow the current due process language for 12 months. That time frame will provide the board and association ample time to assess the new statutory landscape and negotiate revised contract language. As has been articulated throughout the negotiations, the board's position, which the administration has continued to state, is that the existing statutory due process rights and contract provisions are adequate and appropriate at this time. This belief is reinforced by the fact that Butler Community College has voluntarily adopted policies to provide its employees with additional protections, including a grievance policy and progressive discipline procedure so that employees may address work-related complaints, and a probation, suspension, and termination for cause policy requiring, quote, just cause before an employee may be suspended or terminated. These policies and procedures are all included in the 2022 Employee Handbook, beginning on page 156. Additionally, the master agreement includes Article 12 grievance procedure, beginning on page 34 of the 2022-23 master agreement.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, then our next board item is the core community, and Dr. Kroll.
There was a question, or I guess Shelby requested at the work session or at the last meeting to bring this back for potential action. Excuse me, with the thought that the college would be able to provide some funding support for them. we asked Ray to review the legal statute that governs boards. And his review of the statute that's listed in your board book, KSA 71201, that grants the trustees powers and duties. His reading of that identified that the board does not have specific authority to donate public funds to public funds to a nonprofit organization. And so, our commitment would be again to really connect with them, get them connected with foundation people, help the foundation folks, inform them about scholarship availability, get them connected with advising and admissions folks, do some special FAFSA nights for them and some things like that. We can certainly assist in that way. But Ray's interpretation of the statute indicated that the board didn't have the authority to provide them public funds. So you'll see the recommendation that I wrote was based on that the board not approved funding support for community, and instead we'll use our people resources and our office resources to assist them and help them.
I hadn't considered this before that, but I'm not trying to start by, I was asking for clarification, but how does us donating to the foundation for payroll of 300 to 500,000 a year, how is that different?
Well, they're employees, they're Butler employees. So there are Butler employees that we're helping support, pay their wages and pay their, some of their health insurance benefits and things like that. So they're not separate. They're not a separate group because we're all Butler employees.
But the foundation itself is a separate entity.
It's a separate 501c3, but those folks are Butler employees. It's
No, I get
exists
it.
to support the college.
I just,
Right.
since he mentioned it that way, I want
Yeah.
to follow up.
My suggestion also was, have they gone, I know that like to some of the different churches and the churches' missions. I know the Presbyterian Church, someplace, I know that PCUSA in Louisville, Kentucky has initiatives that help people with, I know in some cases homelessness, in some cases, where there's private funding.
Sure. Well, we'll certainly connect with them. I mean, Jennifer did after the last discussion with them when they were here and presented, but we'll reach back out to them again and
My intention
connect
of this
them with
was just to
resources.
Follow up, since
Sure.
they made a request, at least
Yeah.
we have others.
Yeah.
Not just leave them hanging.
Appreciate that.
Okay, and then our next, so then we can move on to the next item. The next item is the National Fitness Campaign. And there was a video that we could watch. I ended up watching it. And Bill Rickenbaugh, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dave. Well, I hope you had a chance to watch the video. If you watched the video, you got to see why we got excited about the campaign in of itself. The recommendation is still the same. I would point out a couple of things. Number one, we believe it will assist us with retention of our students because it's available to all of our students that are here. There has been no amenities added to our residents' life since 2000. That's when we built Cummins Hall and put in the basketball court. That's the last real amenity that we've added to the residence halls since since I've been here.
What about the volleyball courts?
The sand volleyball court, I can't really tell you when that was put in. It's basically, they dug a little out and put sand in and a couple of posts. But any significant cost would have been the basketball court back in 2000. So it's been about 24 years since we've provided any kind of amenity. And the additional thing with the fitness court that I would remind people is that the fitness and wellness courses can use the fitness court for lifetime fitness courses during the day. The only other thing is, again, it's recommended that it come out of the Campus Life Fund. And if you look at the data, that Campus Life Fund has increased $160,000 in the last 3 years. So I don't see that fund going down in revenue any significant amount. And so I think it's a sustainable thing to pay for this. Again, the fitness court has a 25-year guarantee or a warranty. So I understand there's some mixed comments and some mixed support for it. And whatever the board chooses, that's what we live with. But I wanted to point out those differences since our last meeting.
I got it. Bill, I'll ask you because you're there. I don't know who the right person is. What do we think the realistic lifespan is at West Hall? I mean, when do we reach a point where you're coming to us saying we need to do something about it? Because that's where I see campus life funds. I mean, that's a huge investment to replace an entire dorm.
West Hall, I mean, we need updated residence hall on campus, and we've talked about that. I mean, we can't do any major renovations to West Hall because of ADA considerations, cement block building, you know. We've talked about if we do residence hall updates, you know, how we do that. That's the lowest cost residence space on campus, and it's critical for some of our students to have access to that because of the cost. It's certainly not, you know, ideal necessarily with the common bathrooms in the hallway and no elevators and those kinds of things in there. It's all stairs. But it's a reality that, you know, that residence life needs to be updated at some point in time. You know, are we going to build something like shocker halls at, you know, Wichita State and charge our students, you know, $10,000 or $12,000 a year to live there? No, because I don't think our students can afford that, you know, but we do need to make some updates at some point in time.
I just had a couple of ideas. Like for what we're getting, I think it's really expensive, and I appreciate the work that Kay did getting the grant and all that. But I was just looking online for some outdoor exercise equipment, and they have like a really amazing pull-up monkey bar set with weights for $6,000. And you get outdoor battle ropes for $125, another pull-up outdoor thing for $2,000, all sorts of weird targets you could throw balls at. There was a lot of options. And we could, you know, if this is something wanted to do, could we get our construction guys, the welding guys, the art department, and just create something out there in the space on the grass or on the sand and try that out and see like, hey, do the kids use it? We spend $20,000 and then maybe go from there. Right now, like Boris was saying a little bit on future expenses, like I wouldn't mind trying something, just like something this big seems, and for people that do push-ups just on a big rubber mat seems a little unusual to me. Because you can do push-ups anywhere. And the rubber mat, it's about $11 a square foot. So if we made it 1,600 square foot, it'd be about $20,000 maybe for the rubber mat. And we could get
but the concrete's
yeah,
gonna
we
dust you.
could do the flat work, and we could have construction guys do the flat work and have it bearing concrete come out and show them some I mean, I think we could do it on our own more affordably, but that's just my opinion.
Is the grant tied to this specific project?
Yes.
Or is the grant just to be used if we had an alternative?
No, the grant has to be used for the National Fitness Campaign.
I wonder if we couldn't get a sponsor if we went the other route, you know, we'll put their branding.
Get the AstroTurf from BG Stadium to hold.
Take the old AstroTurf.
You can do that. They're gonna be selling it.
Yeah.
So,
No,
Bill, I want you to know that I'm
I don't
going to
think we
vote.
are going to sell the AstroTurf.
Yeah, they do.
Well, some places do, but I don't know that we will because I think ours is.
I don't think it's we.
Let's
It's
go take.
It's just the distributor, right? Bill, I want you to know I'm going to vote no. And the reason why I'm voting no is because I tried to go down by the campus since this was presented in the morning and afternoon. And I was so disappointed. I don't see students out there at the volleyball, sand volleyball. I don't see them playing Frisbee. All I do is see them walking across campus and back. And I agree, we need more things. But I too, like Forrest, believe that we need to focus right now on the West dorms.
Well, I'm not going to argue that we need to do something with West Hall. My recommendation for what to do with West Hall would be to tear it down.
Absolutely.
but I've also said you could probably try to put sticks of dynamite under West Hall and it'd just go bump and it'd still be there. But you know, I'm not going to argue about that, but I mean, the cost of creating another residence hall, which I believe we would need to build another residence hall before you eliminate West, because we don't have any place to put
Correct.
the students that are in West. So, and I know my resident life director would full-heartedly support a new residence hall. But I agree with Dr. Kroll, coming up with a hall like Shocker Hall, which is what students really like, but it's cost prohibitive because theirs is over $12,000 a year. And I don't think our students can afford that cost.
So I guess well, first of all, should we have a motion on it or?
Yeah.
Well, or it'll die, but what about if we did some of those pull-up bars and had some cornhole
that'd be
sets
great.
and had some outdoor smokers, just like, hey, you wanna go cook and play cornhole and do pull-ups?
Absolutely.
I mean, it could be done for
Yes.
10-15 grand, just to try it
Right.
and get some kids out there.
Get our
Get some
welding
speakers,
department to make some stuff. I think that'd be great. But Bill, I applaud you all for bringing this to the board.
So are we going to make a motion? Is anybody going to make a motion? Okay, so the motion fails for a lack of a motion. Or
No,
the,
there's not a motion made.
well,
The action item.
the action item
Yeah.
fails because of no motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
For the record, Bill, I was for it because I see the campus all the time and I'd like to see kids out there.
We'll explore some additional options. We'll pull some folks together and yeah, we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is the artificial intelligence software.
Yeah, the
And-
revised software. Mhm.
And is there anyone here to speak on that?
Dr. Linden I can open it. This is a revision of a degree program that's already in place. It's simply addition in the second year, providing 4 additional electives that focus on artificial intelligence, allowing students a little bit different pathway than the software development AAS that's in place right now. This, because it's a simple revision, it doesn't require as much detailed paperwork as what KBOR requires when you have a brand new program or a brand new certificate. And so I know one of the questions was about yesterday was about the market analysis that was done. And there was also a question about what the thought would be on changes in enrollment and if there would be student interest for this. It's a formality for the board to approve this, basically. We have to send the board minutes to KBOR. It just gets a desk review at KBOR. Our folks have already been in conversation with KBOR staff, and so they know it's coming. It just gets a desk review, so it doesn't go before the TEA for discussion and approval and then on to KBOR. It just goes to staff there. So can you speak a little bit to the market analysis maybe and what your thoughts are on the
Absolutely. Good evening.
We've got these great faculty
Yes,
that are gonna be teaching
yes.
These courses for us too.
So good evening. I'm Peter Linden, the Dean of Career and Technical Education, and on behalf of a very talented and dedicated faculty of the Software Development Information Systems Department, who put together this wonderful package, which is a program option that will run parallel to the existing AAS degree in software development that focuses on artificial intelligence. As it applies to market analysis, I offer this for your consideration as part of your considering this new program option. As part of a broader information systems software development field, our market analysis indicated an increase in the adoption of AI technologies in creating new job opportunities. Although AI is a relatively new field, and AI-specific industry data is correspondingly scant at the present time, our IS and SD industry advisory committee members have acknowledged that AI professionals are in high demand across industry sectors. Businesses do seek personnel with AI skills to analyze data and develop AI solutions to create intelligent systems, enhance decision-making, automate processes, and solve complex problems. So the data that we accessed in putting this packet together, this curriculum together, was rather scant because it's such the cutting edge. There's not much data out there at the moment, but our industry advisory committee members have affirmed the need out in the industry across sectors of this need, as have potential students. And speaking of students and the potential expected enrollment increases that we're anticipating, it'll be threefold. First, by way of our high school academy, participation of students in that area, particularly within the robotics component of the overall curriculum. Also, post-secondary students that are graduating from high school who may not have pursued a dual enrollment type of situation that's AI or computer information systems specific. And also adult learners. Our industry advisory committee members have indicated there's a segment of their current employees that have expressed interest in pursuing this very growing and dynamic field. So as this program that rolls out concurrently with the software development AAS, we will monitor that data very carefully and define what segments, particularly this program, this initiative will appeal to, and then report back as to what that looks like in terms of specifics.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I move go ahead. Mary.
I just have a few questions about this. So AI, just tell me what the kids would do in this class.
Well,
Are they gonna draw a picture of me and have me on the computer screen? So when you come in these someplace, I can be talking about something?
it's a possibility.
Okay.
It's a possibility for sure. But I can give you some real life examples of where AI is used today in industry. And maybe that might help, Mary Martha.
So what industry would you be using this?
Oh,
Every.
funny you should ask. I have some examples for you.
Okay.
For example, web search engines such as Google use AI all the time. Content recognition systems such as YouTube, Amazon, Netflix deploy AI to generate personalized recommendations. And also spam filters act as examples of AI in action. Speech integration, virtual assistants, including Siri and Alexa, are wonderful examples of AI. And also, as we probably heard a lot in the media, autonomous vehicles. So
All you
self-driving.
guys are gonna be teaching it?
Well, we have one content expert in particular,
Which one?
Mark Meadows.
You like it, huh?
Yes.
It's the way it's coming.
Can't go to a KISS concert unless it's AI.
Yeah. And Mark comes from industry. He has 32 years of experience with Boeing and Spirit, who he did this for the past 32 years. So he comes with a wealth of applied industry experience in this area.
Well, Siri gets everything wrong, so maybe we can get.
Yes. That'll be the first assignment.
Okay, so can I have a motion, please?
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Oh,
What is the expected salary range?
Well, like many fields in information systems right now, based on the data from the Kansas State Labor Board, we're looking at right now between 90 and 110,000.
Wow. I'm gonna enroll. Get ready.
You know, can I go back to school?
My only question was, seems like AI is already up and running with
It
a lot of hiccups currently.
Right.
These are gonna be kids 2 years from now.
fixing the hiccups.
Well, yeah, but I mean, a lot's gonna, AI is gonna be a lot further along and different.
It will be.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very
They're
dynamic
already using
field. And that's part of the beauty of it. It keeps on innovating, which promotes further innovation. And those innovations that impact our economy and innovation within sectors of the economy as well. So that dynamic component of it is the intrinsic part of it, which makes it all the more exciting.
But I mean, are there AI companies in Kansas working? It's not, I mean, Google and a lot of these are located in California, overseas. What job is?
Well, it's my understanding that Google right now is looking to open a brand new facility in Kansas City. And myself and other of my colleagues are already in communication with them, initial communication to kind of see what the exact need is. And I've already kind of given the faculty a heads up as to how those discussions are shaping up, and then keeping our VPs apprised of that. So there's movement in industry. It's knocking at our door right now, as close as Kansas City on a larger scale. So it's a rather exciting development.
If you also look in your board book on page 144, it lists the advisory committee members and the business associations. All of these folks are using AI or headed in that direction. So, and they're all local folks.
Are there gonna be newer positions to teach these classes, or is this all?
Not at this
existing?
point. There's no
We're gonna-
cost
We're
associated.
gonna use existing resources.
Oh, page 40.
Did I say 24?
We said 144.
Oh, sorry.
I would assume a lot of these IT positions could be remote with a lot of employers as well, or virtual. so.
Yes. Yes.
I think I read where Koch Industries has invested in an AI firm
Mhm.
in their investment portfolio.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. How
I
about that?
move that the board approve the revisions to the software development Associate of Applied Science degree as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Jennifer?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
If I
Thank
could add, just before we move on, Dr. Linden mentioned the opportunity for the Early College Academy. This would actually fulfill that need in Rose Hill that we've been talking about over the last couple of years. We tried to offer construction technology there, and there was no interest. And so we're working closely with Rose Hill to hopefully offer this program there. So it will fill that space and that need for our Butler County High School students in that area.
In a particular course, focus there will be robotics and taught by Mark.
Great at this. So I want to add one to.
So are you, the robotics in Rose Hill at our high school is where you're going to be teaching? Is that classroom already?
Yes. The space is already there.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
The space we have designated for construction technology there.
That's
is
what I
what we
wanted.
will use.
Thank you, Heather.
Mhm.
That's a big, nice room.
It's a beautiful room.
Mhm.
We're gonna put it to good use.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that passed 5-1 and one absent. So then we move on to the next item, which is the weapons policy update. And Mr. Bill, you're up again.
Thank you. We had a situation this spring where we identified there was a difference in our weapons policy from the employee handbook to the student handbook to our residence hall. And it really needed to all come together and be the same. So we met with public safety, and then after Glendale and Sam looked at state statutes to make sure everything that they were coming forward with was in compliance with state statute. We got together with Shelley Stoltz in Human Resources and with Dr. Kroll and went through and updated the policy with those recommendations from public safety. You can also see we added the Redler Culinary Institute because it was not included in one of our facilities. And so after our work with it, we ran it past Ray Cannell and he's put his stamp of approval on it. So my recommendation is that we update our weapons policy so that we have congruence and compliance across the campus in our different handbooks.
So would you like a motion?
Yes, please.
Go ahead. Questions are first.
So yellows and new items. It seems like somebody could make a complaint against somebody and then we're authorizing campus police to go disarm an individual and compensate, take their firearm pending an investigation without. That doesn't seem quite proper to me.
Now, conceal and carry on campus is legal. If a weapon becomes visible, it's no longer concealed. And so if a person doesn't come into compliance, in other words, if somebody says, if they call public safety and says, this individual has a visible weapon in this place, public safety will respond to that. Their first their first statement is going to be to that individual, if you're going to conceal this weapon, that's one thing. If you can't conceal it, we're going to take it from you until you leave the campus. You can come back to public safety and get it, or you can leave the campus now, or you can agree to conceal the weapon again.
That also allows if there's, some threatening sort of situation, it allows them to step in and confiscate that weapon at that point in time to try and de-escalate
So if
something
someone's
as well.
jacket blows open and you're like, hey, you're carrying a gun and the cops take it from you, it's like.
They're going to talk to him first.
There's going to be conversations. It's not going to be, I mean, we're not going to go in and put them up against the wall and take their gun from them. It's,
Like there could be some escalation that would probably not be. I mean, I know what it's trying to say, it seems like it could use a couple more sentences. I mean, it says it's gonna be stored according to the college police department policy.
Bill, is a taser a firearm?
no, it's not a firearm, but it is considered a weapon. Right.
So, can you conceal a taser? Can it be a concealed weapon?
It falls because it's defined in here. It falls underneath this policy. This is a conceal and carry, and it's defined within the policy as I think it's defined in here. I didn't look at it. It's defined as
It's defined as a weapon.
it's defined as a weapon. So
So you can conceal and carry a taser.
You can put them in your purse, I think.
yeah, I don't.
Yes,
You don't have to be licensed to carry one.
right.
Carry a firearm without it.
Yeah, without a license.
Class. I'm not uncomfortable the way it's just written. It seems like it would authorize them to just get a complaint, disarm an individual, take their gun, store it. That might be confusing to the person that's. But I
don't think
understand
public
the
safety
intent.
has that right now. If they
Absolutely.
approach.
Correct.
They think they have to disarm something. They don't need a policy to do that.
Right.
Right.
I feel.
I think it's also important for you to know that, there have been no issues on campus related to weapons. I mean, there was a lot of concern when the legislature passed this policy. Lots and lots of concern among college campuses and university campuses about having,
People quit.
yeah, insurance carriers quit covering because they were worried about it, but we've, knock on wood, have not had any issues at all at Butler in any way.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that we approve this weapons policy update for Butler Community College.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Jennifer?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brongart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
And I gotta go to the front. I lost my place. Okay, the next item is the ratification of the collection services provider. Is that right?
Yeah, I was just curious. What kind of debt are we carrying that we're looking at handing over to collection agency, or what kind of numbers are we talking about? I know it doesn't cost us to hand it off to the collection agency. I just didn't know what kind of balance.
Jennifer's got information, or I'm sorry, Jessica does. We've always used a collection service.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What?
Jessica, I think it is.
Yes, and Donnie Mercer, who is our Director of Accounts Receivable, is also here to help me with the hard questions. So for 2023, we submitted, where is that? 1,300 accounts for 1.6 million. And with our current provider, we were able to collect 20% of that. So we are recommending a new provider so that we feel like we did an RFP and we had meetings and demos with the top candidates, and we really felt like they were we felt like, from a technology standpoint and also focusing on higher education, that they met our need. And then they also have a lower rate for the service as well. Is there anything you wanted to add?
No, the main thing,
Better get close to the microphone.
probably one of the main things that triggered this review was that it has been over 15 years since we have interviewed other vendors. felt it was well past time just to do our diligence to see what else is out there. Plus, we wanted to make sure we were getting the most technology current and secure services. And in the process also found additional features that really suited us, specifically companies that dealt their entire focus is higher education. And we liked having the specialty of these vendors. At the same time, removing student accounts from a vendor that has just been placed is not advisable. Usually like to let an account mature with a collector for at least a year. And we have just placed our 2023 accounts with our current vendor. And we thought this would give us a unique opportunity throughout 2024 to compare head to head our existing vendor with the two new proposed vendors, so that we could have a true comparison of not only does this vendor look better, but at the end of the year, did they perform better and collect more accounts for us?
It's so nice to see you, Donnie. I've seen your name on several things, but I've never had a picture to put with the name. So it's nice to have you here. I'm not familiar with collections. How long can you collect on a bad debt?
Indefinitely. I mean,
Indefinitely.
as long as we place the account into collections within the 3-year statute of limitations, we can then continue to work on that account indefinitely. One thing that removes it from that is if it's removed in a bankruptcy, those types of situations.
What percent does a collection company usually charge?
It varies. Currently, we one of our best collectors is the Kansas Set-Off Program, which is the state of Kansas who holds tax returns and casino winnings. Those generate some fun phone calls. Those generate some really fun phone calls. But we pay 19% to the state of Kansas. So it's a substantial cost. But they do provide a service that would be extremely expensive for us to try to approach on our own. The ability that they have to seek out these accounts nationwide, that we just don't have the capability to have the thoroughness that these agencies do. The collection agency we're currently using charges us 22% for their services. The two that we are adding, one charges 20% for the first placement and the other 19%. So we are looking at a reduction of cost up front, provided they collect the same volume. Now, unique situation is that this is actually one expense that I would be happy to see go up, because if this expense increases, it means they've collected more for us. So that's kind of the oxymoron up to the budget there, right? It's like we would actually like to see that expense go up because it means our revenue is going up right along with it.
How old is the oldest debt that this collection company's been working on?
That is a fantastically difficult question. I do not know the answer to that. I have seen accounts come up just with questions as old as 20 years.
Okay, so is this like a similar, that total, would that be like an annual? It's similar over the years? Does it vary a lot, or get in that ballpark of?
Submitted.
Right, you said 1.6 in 2023, is it?
It's pretty consistent. Yeah.
And what would happen if they do the student loan for debt forgiveness? Are we in reimbursed by the federal government, or that's just all goes away and we can't collect it at that point?
That is actually targeted toward federal student loans, which would have no impact on Butler accounts receivable.
Okay, so I guess I'll accept a motion.
I would move to approve it as presented.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Jennifer?
Trustee Good?
Yes.
Trustee Brungart?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Jolly is absent. Trustee Hueslick?
Yes.
Trustee Shearer?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
That motion passes 6-0. And then the F item is it on personnel?
Yeah.
And somebody wanted to speak on
Yeah.
the retirement of D maybe?
Right. Heather wanted to provide some comments. We typically do that with our personnel that are resigning, retiring, is offer a little bit, just a few comments. So I think Heather's prepared to talk a little bit about D.
I am. Thank you. Dee has worked for the college for 23 years, all at McConnell in the service center. So when she first started, we did not have the service center. She was on the base until 9/11 when we had to relocate actually to Rose Hill for a period of time before then she helped us move into the way we operate now, which is the service center in McConnell. So she served a few different roles in that time as a enrollment secretary and a registration clerk, and she'll be retiring as our office manager. So she's worn a lot of hats, as you all know, because we've presented about this location multiple times. That whole facility wears a lot of hats. They're able to serve students from that facility that attend classes all over. So she's leaving with a wealth of knowledge, but she's done a good job passing that on to the rest of our team. And so we wish her well in her retirement. She'll be missed, but she is looking forward to spending more time with her family and doing a little bit of traveling.
Okay, so do we want to do this one separately
Yes.
from the sabbaticals?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do a separate.
so I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the retirement of D Mob.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, and then our next other items are 2 sabbatical leaves.
Well, I think just
Oh,
do
I
the
would-
full consent agenda.
Oh, okay. So,
I would move to approve the amended consent agenda.
Second.
okay, I have a motion and a second on the approval of the consent agenda.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes,
trustee Smith.
Yes.
that motion passes 6-0. And now we're getting toward supplemental information. Dr. Kroll?
I think Esam talked about the retention information at the last meeting maybe, but he's got a little bit more information for us on your page 123.
Good evening. You will notice this is the last update for the academic year on key performance indicators. Gives me great pleasure to draw your attention to our retention numbers. They have hit for the first-time full-time cohort, which is the standard national cohort. We have hit 66%. We have
Incredible.
never had it even close to this before.
Yay.
The last time we had it was at 61%, which was last year. And trust me, I went back and I double and triple checked to make sure I didn't make a mistake, and somebody else did that too. It is at 66%. It is an incredible piece of news. Just to give you a financial perspective of it, what that means, and we haven't done the full calculations yet, that means we saved about 600 to 700 credit hours. 600 to 700 credit hours right there. Multiplied by our tuition, well, I'll let you do the math, but it's significant saving. We are looking at what triggered that. There's some things that we have done. I mean, you always hear me talk about retention. There's some people who see me and say, well, I don't want to talk about that. You've done enough. But I mean, that we've been pushing it quite a while. We are looking at the student perception surveys to see what prompted at the granular level. In a couple of weeks, we'll be presenting some of the findings, both what went right and how we can sustain it. Sustaining it is going to be a good challenge. I think we can look forward to it. What I can tell you from the information we have gathered and the analysis we have done so far, almost the entire gain in this came from those of our students who had declared plain liberal arts as their major, nothing more specific than that. So it was almost entirely
almost entirely in the in Troy Nordman's division. I mean, I wish he was here to hear me say
In the
that.
what?
In our HSBS division,
Oh.
Dean Nordman's division, and I mean, a lot of credit goes to a lot of people, including yourselves. But that's so far, that's what we know. It is good news, and I'll be happy to take questions, the easy ones.
Are there any questions? Okay.
Love to see that.
Yep.
Great news.
I also think that the teachers have probably done a good job about talking up
It's a
their
huge-
programs. Yeah.
It's a huge, they are first line,
Yeah.
frontline people.
Heck, yeah.
A couple of other things, the calendar, is in the back of the book. Got some specific things that I need to ask you about. PTK induction ceremony is this Sunday. The date just kind of popped up of Sunday, April 14th at 2 p.m. It's in the Student Union. Typically, we have a trustee provide a short welcome. I don't know if anybody's available to do that or not, but if you are, we'd like to include you.
I can do
You
it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Dave. Okay.
I'll be
Yeah.
dressed up for
Okay.
church.
Jennifer will make sure we get all this information out. Early College Academy graduation is Saturday, May 4th, 10 a.m. in the Clifford Stone Room. Same way we did it last year. We need a trustee to provide that welcome. We'll follow up. Jennifer will follow up with all these dates, but I'm not going to ask who's going to be able to attend and who's not, because you need to look at your calendars. But we do need to identify people that can do welcome. So is there somebody that can do the Early College Academy?
Is it the 11th?
It's May 4th. It's a Saturday, May 4th, 10 a.m.
I can do it.
Okay, thank you. Nurses pinning ceremony is Thursday, May 9th, 7 p.m. at the El Dorado Performing Arts downtown. That's the night before commencement.
I can do that. I missed out last year.
Okay.
Can we all just see
Oh.
if somebody else wants to do it?
I was just saving people a drive.
I did it last year, Dave, if you want to take it this year.
I have Dave down.
For what date?
Well, that's nurses pinning, May 9th, 7 p.m.
If you haven't ever been there, there's a level of excitement in that room that's different.
it's
I mean,
fantastic.
commencement is neat by itself. That
It
nurses pinning deal is really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge accomplishment. Honors and awards ceremony is Friday, May 10th at 1:30 p.m. That's the afternoon of commencement. We do that in the Clifford Stone Room. That's where we recognize our Order of the Purple and Order of the Gold graduates. There are some scholarships that are announced that afternoon. We also at that ceremony recognize faculty that have been nominated by students or recommended by students for recognition. So that's a nice ceremony as well. And so we need a trustee to provide that welcome Friday, May 10th at 1:30 p.m.
Who can do it? Somebody new.
See, I kept quiet.
I've done it twice.
I have literal heart attacks.
You want to do it?
Like,
Aaron, you want to do it?
I took that day off
good,
just so I could be up here.
good. Can we put you down for it? And for you guys, I mean, we'll script, we've got a script that you can go from. I mean, we'll provide that for you. You can make some tweaks to it if you want to. So it's not something that you have to write from scratch if you don't. Of course, AI is a big help. I mean, use AI.
Do that, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
So we can put you down for this.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. And then commencement ceremony is that evening at the stadium at 7 p.m. Linda said she really didn't want to do commencement. I might be able to talk her into it because again, it's scripted, but is there a backup in case she does not want to do that? Typically it's the chair, the trustee's chair. She's kind of like Kim. She doesn't really want to speak publicly, but
Like, on one, I'm fine. Honestly, a small group, big crowd. Oh.
A stadium full of people and 500 graduates.
Ventilate and can't like.
I'm happy to do it again. If somebody else wants to, I mean, I did the last 2 years as
I'd be
chair.
back up if you need me.
I don't
but
mind, but if somebody else
I'll
wants to.
jump in.
Okay, I'll talk to Linda just a little bit more and then I'll put you both down and we'll go from there. Thank you. Okay, I think that's what I have. Don't forget PTK luncheon. Don't forget, we'll remind you about the El Dorado tour.
Be here at
campus
9:30.
tour,
We also have
9:30
fact
Friday
finding
morning.
or whatever tomorrow.
Fact finding tomorrow. Yes, at
I'm gonna
noon.
Zoom, I'm gonna Zoom it, but I'll listen.
Okay, noon in the Grizzly Den in Andover. It's not a big space. There's chairs and stuff set up in there. But I don't know. I didn't ask Shelley. Shelley was over there today. I think they probably had, by the time the tables and stuff are set up for the faculty and admin team, I think they have probably 30 chairs or something set up in there, maybe a few. more.
They did expand that, Kim.
Did they expand? Okay.
He was thinking they might need 60 chairs.
Oh, are they going to be able to fit them all in there?
I know they've got at least probably 50.
Okay.
We did a little bit of rearranging, but
Okay.
not too much. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind attending it, but
Well, it's been noticed up. Jennifer noticed it up, so you won't be, if we have, 4 or more trustees there, you're not going to be in violation of open meetings. So, yeah, be fine. I'll have you there. Noon tomorrow. If we need to go into and use part of Thursday morning starts at 9.
So do you anticipate going into the evening tomorrow
Well,
based on the number of witnesses or?
but I don't have any idea. I have a sense from Dr. Robinson that if we do go into the evening, it's not going to be into the wee hours of the morning. I think she would potentially extend it into part of the evening if we need to. But I don't think it's going to be an all night, that she's going to be willing to stay, all night into the wee hours. And she did also indicate in an email that she expects to be done. If we have to use Thursday, she expects to be done by midday on Thursday.
Do we expect that she's going to give us a ruling from the bench, so to speak, before she leaves? Or will
No.
it be?
No, there's a statutory timeline. Shelley,
10
do you
days,
remember?
I don't-
It's 10 days, but
10
we can
days.
extend it another week. And so I think the faculty emailed her back and said that they were willing to extend it that additional week. And so we should have something within, about 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks at the latest. That's what I know, I think.
okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
And please note at 7:03, we we are a little bit ahead. Is there a second? Mary Martha? Okay.
Trustee Good.
Yes.
Trustee Brungart.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly's absent. Trustee Hueslick.
Yes.
Trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
And I'm assuming that there's